Hey folks, back again with ancient cosmography. And so I don't know, like I deleted a million photos off my phone, but it still is apparently full of photos and can only do like a 5-minute video, but we'll see if it'll go any longer this time. So I've been studying Fingal and so just to run through this really quick, here's the Red Hand of Ulster, Scottish giant Fingal. There's his head. He uses his thumb. There's his thumb right there, his fist and his thumb to touch. And then here's his thumb, island that's shaped the same as, and similar size and shape as the thumb islands are right here, touching the salmon of knowledge, which is the Outer Hebrides, obviously here, and then his own wisdom tooth. So there's then in his mouth right here, there's another island that's like touching a peninsula that's basically like a wisdom tooth. And then I guess this peninsula here is like his beard, and then these peninsulas are his hat or his hair or something. Fingal hunts with his dogs Bran and Sheelang, and they find a deer named Sive, I think he's pronounced it, who was a human before she was transformed by a druid. She reverts to human form and Fingal marries her, but she subsequently turns back into a deer. So the dogs, I was thinking that they're these two because but there might be multiple avatars of these dogs because, these two islands are shaped a bit like dogs, and in the coastline, closest to what looks like the tail, is something called Fingal's dog stone, where it's supposed to be a giant stone where he tied his dog Bran to. So that suggests that this is Bran. But it could also be, I'm thinking now that these two peninsulas right here, that this is the deer. This is the deer that they find, Sive. This is her face, and this is her front hoof or whatever. And then, but these two peninsulas right above her are, I think, potentially also avatars of Bran and Sheelang. So they find Sive, who's a deer, a larger Scottish giant Benandonner, who's also called the Red Man, who I think may represent this part of Scotland. And that this is his face, basically. Like this inlet is his mouth, this is his chin, and then this is his nose sticking out, and he kind of has an eye here, and then he has this big weird hat or something. That's my guess, and that would make sense why he would be called the Red One, because it's a very reddish area, and that he's large. He's described as being larger than Fingal, so that would make sense because his face is larger, his head is larger than this head of Fingal on Sky. A larger Scottish giant Benandonner 8 challenges Fingal, so Sive disguises Fingal as a baby and tucks him into a cradle. So this is him as a baby, and this is the cradle. So this is her tucking him in. And then, so when Benandonner sees how large, and just to show like better, this will let me, it's like here's closer up on his face, here's his thumb touching his wisdom tooth right there, here's his thumb touching the fish, and I think there's might be other avatars of his thumb touching the fish as well, like similar islands that factor in. And then this is seems to be Benandonner's nose and mouth and chin, and this might be his eye. And so then this is the deer's Sive, And then these two peninsulas here might be at least potentially the first original avatars of Fingal's two dogs, Bran and Shielang. And it says, they're described as being like Bran, for instance, specifically, I think is described as being always at Fingal's side. So this would fit with that here's Fingal's head, here's his beard, here's the dogs. And they're also described as being standing as high as Fingal's shoulder. So it makes them sound like they're really huge dogs, but it's actually a kind of a joke because this is Fingal's shoulder, so they stand as high as his shoulder, but they're not that big compared to him. So challenges. So Sive disguises Fingal as a baby. So here's Fingal as a baby. This is his mouth. This is his nose. This is kind of as an eye maybe there. This is the crib that he's in. This is Sive tucking him in. So when Ben and Donner sees how large and strong Fingal's baby is, so they pretend that Fingal is his own baby. Ben and Donner is terrified of how large Fingal himself must be. Fingal and Ben and Donner race to Ireland to see who touches Ireland first and thereby becomes its lord. Fingal builds the Giant's Causeway from Fingal's cave on Staffa. So Fingal's cave is immediately adjacent to baby Fingal's head, the avatar of baby Fingal. It's like basically right within the curl of this two right here is Staffa, the Isle of Staffa, where Fingal's cave is. So the Giant's Causeway from the Staffa to Ireland's coast. So then the Giant's Causeway is like right here, basically. And so that's all these hexagonal basalt columns, which are found on both sides, both in Staffa and in Antrim here at Bushmills. And but it sinks under their weight. So then between here and Staffa, it's like sunken. So just the ends of it remain. And Ben and Donner is about to touch Ireland with his magic middle finger. So baby Fingal bites off the finger. So this seems to refer to that this hand, just as this part of Scotland is very red, also this arm and hands, Jura and Isla, are redder compared to Fingal's arm here, which is, Kintyre and Knapdale. So I believe, that this is Ben and Donner, and plus this is an island, so it could be seen that Ben and Donner is kind of reaching from behind Fingal here and trying to touch Ireland. And then this is the nub where his magic middle finger was about to touch Antrim and where it was bitten off by baby Finn. This is like his thumb. This is like the middle finger nub. And then I think this is an iteration of the middle finger, and this may also be related. And potentially even this and Rathlin, because a lot of these islands are all shaped a bit like fingers. So it could be like a comic where the finger, just like the thumb, goes through different stations. And there's also an island that looks a bit like a finger, like a small island chain right in front of baby Finn's mouth. So that could and I think that relates as well. Then bites off the magic finger to ensure. I mean, technically everything here is magic. This is what magic is. It's metaphors. So literally everything in this story is magic. To ensure victory, Fingal uses a blade, 16. So that seems to be this part of Galloway. Not sure what is that, Stranraer, or I'm not sure the exact name of that area. So it's a very sharp. I mean, you can't even see how sharp it is. It's really pointy on the end. So he uses to ensure victory. Fingal uses a blade to amputate his own hand. So this, Knapdale and Kintyre are this peninsula. They form this peninsula that looks like an arm, bent arm with the elbow here, but with the hand cut off. And then it's red on the Mull of Kintyre here, so it's like a bloody stump. So, so he amputates his own hand, which he throws across the Straits of Moyle. So in the story, it specifically says the Straits of Moyle, which is technically really just this area right here, the sea, the water between, Kintyre and Antrim. And Straits of Moyle onto Ireland's coast, thereby becoming Lord of Ireland and leaving a bloody hand shape on the coastal rocks. So the hand shape, you can see here the thumb and the fingers there. And then the fingers are even delineated inside the hand by the glens of Antrim and the mountains of Antrim there on the plateau. And there's a reddish, there's a lot of red sandstone, so that's why it's like a bloody mark. Fingal's hand tears up a clod of earth and throws it into the Irish Sea. The hole thereby created fills with water and becomes Lough Neagh, which is this right here. It's the largest lake in the British Isles.